Facebook and YouTube?
No, just YouTube.
Just YouTube?
Mm-hmm. Good evening. I'm happy to see you every once in a while here in Manhattan. And today, unfortunately, is not such a great happy day. We see today that the 4 years that maybe we took it for granted, we didn't maybe appreciate what a king we had in the world that was very nice to Israel and to the Jewish people and to America, and made a lot of good decisions and a lot of great achievements, was kicked out of power with the help of the Jews. 75% of the Jews voted against him. Last week, on Wednesday, I spoke about ungratefulness. I spoke about pride and ungratefulness. Why I spoke about those two things? Because those are the two things that God hates the most about a person. If a person will be strictly religious, like a robot, every morning 7 a.m. is in shul, mincha and ma'ariv, never missed the davening in minyan, learn daf yomi, is a very religious person, but isn't an ungrateful person. Or you have someone that is not the most religious in the world, has issues, has desires, makes sins here and there, but is a very grateful person. The second one is much better than the first one. Being a robot is better than not keeping mitzvot, obviously, because the more sins you make, the more you're going to have to pay. But Rachmana li babai, the Gemara says, Hashem is interested in the heart of the human being. If the heart is the heart of a stone, is an ungrateful heart, is a heart full of lies and deceiving, even though he keeps mitzvot, that could be from a personal interest. He's afraid of going to hell. He's afraid of getting a bad girl to get married to. If he's in yeshiva, if he's gonna not be so strictly religious, he may not get a good shidduch. A lot of people do things for personal interest. When do you know if a person really is a tzaddik or not? Based on his personality, character traits. If a person is having very good midot, good personality traits, then you know that this person achieved something in life. If he has bad midot, such as full of ego, full of anger, full of ungratefulness, full of laziness, stinginess, all these bad things, then that means that he came to this world but really did not achieve that much. So today, we are now almost a year after the horrible virus started. We still have millions of fools, brainless people who denied there is such a thing. There's nothing. It's nothing but a regular flu. Today, 93 people died in Israel. 93 people alone, just today, in Israel. Israel is smaller than New Jersey. 93 people died just today alone. Every day, about 50 people and up are dying in Israel. Every day. We're close to 5,000 dead. Fill up a place with 5,000 people. It's a lot. It's a massive amount of people. But each person that die, it's not just him. It's 30, 40, 50 people that suffer. Brothers, sisters, in-laws, neighbors, parents, children, wife, husband. Every person that die, you knock down 50 people or 40 that their life will never be the same. More than 700 people committed suicide in Israel in 2020. Remember, Israel is a small place. It's not America. It's a small place. 700 people killed themselves. More than 1 million people are unemployed. Every month, thousands of families become poor. Extra. And there are still people who the ego kills them to fight about the vaccine. Should we take it? Maybe in 20 years something will happen to us. That's what they worry about. Let 1 million people die. Maybe somebody will die in the next 20 years. They're not worried about the 1 million that will die until then, or 5 million or 20 million. They're not worried about it. They're not worried that the government and the country is destroyed. They're not worried that what we built in 72 years, we lost in 10 months, and we are still in deficit. What we built in 72 years of hard work, we lost everything, and we are in 160 billion shekel deficit. And it's only going to be double and triple until we're going to get out of it, if we get out of it. Because now there's all kinds of mutation, and maybe now it's really the end of the world. Because if Hashem will decide that the world will come to an end, nothing will help us. Not vaccines, not doctors. Nothing will help the world. Now there's African mutation, Brazilian mutation, London mutation. They don't know. Maybe it's much, much, much stronger than the original one. Maybe the vaccine will not even cover that. We don't know. And on top of that, there is a new virus now, Nipah. 150 times more contagious than Corona. Corona is 0.5%. This is 75%. They say that if they don't find a cure to that, that's it, officially. Nothing you can do. It's in Asia. So the world is experiencing something that nobody really knows for sure how it's going to end. The Democrats took over America today permanently. Not for 4 years, like some of the optimistic ones among us are thinking. Permanently, that's it. There's not going to be any more Republicans controlling anything in America. Why? Very simple common sense. I'm not a prophet, and I'm not intending to be a prophet. I'm just speaking from common sense. There is first order that Biden already commanded today is to cancel all the bans of Muslim countries' immigration and canceling all the deportations. There's hundreds of thousands of illegal people here, Spanish and Muslim, that were supposed to be sent back to their country, as they've been doing it on a daily basis. They cancel everything. They will stay here and get citizenship, and plus they're going to bring another few millions of Muslims. Some Muslims are very good people. Let's assume that 90% of them are nice, good people. They're not jeopardy to us. But all we really need is that 1% or 5% of those who will come here will have Muslim radical agenda, and they're going to walk around us and start blowing us up, like they've been doing in the last who knows how many decades. Imagine this. Imagine 50,000. That's all you need. 50,000 radical. Bring 5 million great ones. To be honest with you, if I had the choice to raise my children among religious Muslim or among liberal Jews, I have no doubt where I would want my children to grow up. I would not even hesitate. The only thing I would be afraid that one crazy one will come and kill us. Yes, I would live with fear. But other than that, the women, they will be modest. Nobody will make gay parade in front of my children. No one will teach that we came from the monkeys. No one will teach to rebel against God. No one would let the minister of health to be a transgender, a Jewish transgender, will control the health of America. If we had a chance to get safe from this virus, now it's over. They do everything they can to get God angry as much as possible. That will bury us all. Who did they put in charge of the boat that is sinking? A wicked person that changed his identity from a man to a woman. Huh?
What's the guy's name?
Baruch Hashem, I never learned their names. I can't even say the word transgender. It took me a year to learn to say it. Remember how many times people corrected?
Is every Jew a Jew still? They have Pinto Hashem in them?
Is every Jew?
Every Jew has a piece of God. We let it.
Not every Jew.
Not every Jew?
Some people are Erev Rav, you don't know. The Zohar says before Mashiach come, who will control the world? The children of the Erev Rav. Moshe Rabbeinu, he adopted some Egyptians and they joined the Jewish nation when they came out of Egypt. These were Egyptians who were, they had bad ideology. They were all idol worshippers, and they made a lot of problems in the 40 years in the desert, and then they died. And every generation, their children, meaning their descendants, continuing to bring evil to the world. And they will be the most powerful moments before the end. That's what the Zohar say. And now we see, in Israel, here, in the media, Facebook, Twitter, they took over the world. They scream democracy, democracy, freedom of speech, human rights. But they only mean for wicked people, not for religious people, not for people who think different than them. We don't have a say. If you will talk against the gay parade, they'll shut your page. If you will promote homosexuality, they'll give you a lot of exposure. Free, on the house. If you say, I hate it, it's rebelling against the creator of the world, then you get a warning, next time they shut your page. That's freedom of speech? Who are you kidding? It's baloney, it's not democracy. It's either communism or a dictatorship, one of the two. But I'll tell you what's the problems that we're going to have in the next 4 years. First, they're going to probably make in almost most of the democratic states for sure, they're going to approve gay marriage. You're going to start having men with men, women with women, Sodom and Gomorrah on the open. Worse than what it was. Worse, much worse. They will bring a lot of immigrants for one purpose, that they will all vote Democrats. So if now the Senate has 50-50, that's it. From now on, they only will actually increase their lead. They will bring millions of Democrats, all the illegal immigrants, they all would vote Democrats, because with Trump they didn't have any chance to ever become legal. On top of that, on top of all of this, he's going to do everything he can to help Iran. That's what he's been doing in the time of Obama. He's the one who saved Iran and gave them that foolish deal that they can continue quickly to make a bomb. Now you may ask me, even though we're not crazy about Sleepy Joe, but why would he want Iran to have a bomb? It's against America. It can kill 100 million Americans. They're crazy. They'll do it. There's nothing can stop them. If you're going to get too much on their nerve, these Iranians, they're going to blow up New York one day with a suitcase or a dirty bomb or who knows what. Why would an American senator, now president or vice president when he was with Hussein Obama, why would he help Iran to continue with their malicious plan? The answer is, perhaps he got $100 million under the table. It's not exactly the Lubavitcher Rebbe, you know. So he doesn't have such clean hands. We already seen with China and other things and his son, what's happening. Politicians in general are dirty. Almost all of them. Here and there you find tzaddik echad besdom. But most politicians, they're not clean. Corruption after corruption. All you need is that they offered him, we'll give you $100 million, help us out. Maybe Hussein Obama was a partner in a deal. Maybe Ariel Sharon got paid to give the Palestinian Hamas Gush Katif. He was an extreme righty. All his life fought against the Arabs with no mercy. What happened in the last 5 years of his life? He became the biggest lefty. Very possible he got a few $1 million and that's it. Today you can buy almost everyone. Everyone has a price. Very rarely that you will find a person that you offer him something really big and he will decline it. Very rarely. The only ones who will decline bribe are people that are really afraid of God. Very religious, that if you come to a very religious person and tell him, I'll give you $1 million, eat pork. Eat this steak now, and I'm giving you right now this suitcase full of $1 million. Some religious people would swallow the pork in one bite for the $1 million because they were fake all along. But some religious people, even if you give them $10 million, they won't even touch a bite from it. Why? Because they have fear and respect to Hashem. So it's all depend about if you are honest honest with yourself, honest in your personality, or you one of many millions of crooks. And that's the topic tonight. This introduction is bringing me now to what I would like to speak about, which is sheker and emet, true and false, which relates to every minute of our life. If somebody asks you, show me your signature. You don't sign on a paper. That's your signature. In the old days, people used to have ring. There was no pens. And people wouldn't walk with feather and every time they need to sign. It will not be so realistic. So what they had stamp with ink. If they need to sign on a document, like a notary. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And they stamp it right away with a ring, and you know it's official because everyone design his own ring. What's the stamp of Hashem? From all the things that He created in the world, He chose Himself a symbol. A symbol. What's His symbol? The truth. Emet. Chotamo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu emet. What do we learn from here? That the most critical thing in the life of a human being is emet. You must do everything you can to live by the truth. To live by the truth means that you can go 90 years without saying one lie in this dirty generation. In case you don't believe it's possible, I'll tell you a story. In Monsey, there was a big rabbi, his name was Yaakov Kaminetsky. He died past age 96. He was very important Chacham, big tzaddik. His son now is Rav Shmuel Kaminetsky from Philadelphia, also one of Gdolei Ador. Rav Yaakov Kaminetsky was the rabbi of my rabbi. And one time when I was driving my rabbi home after the Seder in Yeshiva, he told me a story about Rav Yaakov Kaminetsky. He told me, I realized that Rav Yaakov does not eat fish in Seudah Shlishit on Shabbat. I started to get nervous. Maybe the fish is not strictly kosher. So I came to him and I said, Rabbi, is everything okay with the fish? I realized that you don't ever eat the fish on Seudah Shlishit. Is it kosher? He said, oh, of course, absolutely. It's from this place. It's very good. Echsher. So why you never eat? He said, well, that's a story. What? When I was 18, 19, in Russia there, we used to go to eat by families on Friday night after the davening. So I came to a place, and the woman made a fish, and when I tasted from the fish, it was so bad that I almost vomited. So I spit it out, and then she showed up from the kitchen. Yankale, you don't like my fish? I didn't want to embarrass her in front of all the people. So it came out of my mouth, no, I don't like fish, I don't eat fish. And I like fish very much, but because it came out of my mouth that I don't eat fish, since then until today I did not eat fish even once, even though I like it very much. Why? Because I don't want this to become a lie, retroactive. So all these years, he was, let's say, 20, and now he was close to 90, 70 years. He did not eat fish, and a Jew, religious Jew, live with fish. Shabbat is one of the main things in every meal. 7 years he didn't eat fish, not to say one lie. Now do you understand how far we are from the truth of Hashem, based on this story? Can we raise our hand and we say that we had one day of our life that we did not say one lie that day? The entire day. 24 hours, without one lie. Baruch Hashem, you're not liars. You're not raising your hands. Can we say we had 4 hours of our life without going and saying a lie? Without exaggerations, without fairy tales, without changing details, without deceiving in a business, without cheating the customers. Can we say it? Most of us cannot say it. So in that case, how can you call yourself religious when if we connect you to a lie detector and the question will be, did you go one day since you became Shomer Shabbos? Did you go one day without saying a lie? And you would not be able to say, yes, I had a day like this. Then what is your religion worth? What's the worth of your religion? It's basically worth nothing. Like I say, it's all external. But the Torah said that Hashem is interested in the internal, in the heart of a person. Let's give some examples of what the Torah thinks about liars, about crooks, about deceivers, about fakers, about what we call today, we found a nice word, we call it politically correct, which is, in my Hebrew, it's equal a huge liar. In America, they like to cover everything with honey and chocolate. But what's inside? Poison. 100%. Same poison. If you eat it with a chocolate cover or without it, you still die. If you are a liar and you cover your lies with chocolate and nice smiles, with your beautiful clothes and your fake show, you can only impress the fools around you. You cannot impress the creator of the world who will know exactly who you are and what you're planning and what you're really saying. He knows everything. Let's get an example of what he likes and what he hates. By the time I will be done in an hour, each one of us will have a minute or two with himself to think, what is my status? Is God love me or he despite me? It will be very depressing to find out in an hour that he can look at my face. He's disgusted by the way I am. He continues to give me oxygen, continue to give me delicious food, continue to give me a nice place to live, and nice clothes to wear, and children, and wife, and husband, and all these things that we all have. But at the same time, he really can't stand us. Why? We're full of ego, full of lies, and the worst, completely ungrateful. Every Jewish person that speaks against the President of the United States is a wicked person. And it doesn't matter if he knows the whole Gemara by heart and he learns all his life Torah. He's wicked because he's an ungrateful person. You don't like his attitude? Nobody asks you to give him a mark about his attitude. Maybe he has too much ego for you? Maybe. Maybe he's not the most honest person in the world? Maybe. Maybe he has arrogance? Maybe. You can find a lot of things about him, just like you can find about yourself. The results of his action, was he good very much to the Jewish people, the best in the history of America? You have to be a fool to deny it. Was he the best in the history of the world to the Jewish nation? From the time of the creation of the world until today, there was no leader anywhere in the world that was good to the Jewish people and to the state of Israel ever like him. Therefore, every Jew, regardless who he is, that speak against him in any possible way, or make fun, or is happy that he lost his control, is an ungrateful person. And God hates ungrateful people. And as a result of that, we're going to have a nightmare in the next 4 years. Why? Because we brought it on ourselves. We brought it on ourselves, Rabotai. Then later, people will miss Trump. You wait and see. The time will come that a lot of these liberals will miss him. When they will begin to attack their beautiful homes in Connecticut and in Philadelphia or in Manhattan with riots, and will start calling dirty Jews, get out of here, like it was in Nazi Germany, they will remember that they actually gave the power to these people who come now to destroy us. That's how history is always repeating itself. That's what happened in Spain and Portugal. That's what happened in Iran. That's what happened in Libya. That's what happened in all Europe before the Holocaust. It's nothing new. I'm not telling you something that did not happen already 100 times before. It's just that history, the wheels of history sometimes are rolling a little bit quiet. Slow. So it may take a few years. Therefore, we don't really understand that the process already began. But it's already a process like this. One day you may find yourself unable to take money out of a bank account. The government will say the country is in deficit. We are going bankrupt. Every person that has more than $2 million must contribute everything to the government to save the country. And who they're going to go after? The Jewish people. You're not going to know who they take the money from. That's what happened in Spain to the Jews. That's what happened in Libya. They took away all their property. That's what happened in Iran. All the wealthy Persian Jews left everything in Iran. They couldn't take anything out. That's what happened in Russia. That's what happened in so many countries to the Jewish people. They built themselves as an empire and ran the state, and in 1 minute they lost everything. So there's no guarantee that something like this will not happen in America, and if you're still dreaming that America is a democracy, you're really naive. If you really think there is democracy here, you're very naive. There's really no democracy. You see how they block them out of people that they don't like their opinions. So tomorrow, one crazy guy will start speaking against us, and that'll be the end of us. Especially when every once in a while they catch a Jew that goes on a headline as a big crook or pedophile and all kinds of things like this. Today, one of them was released by President Trump. He got 840 years in prison. Why do you give a person 840 years in prison when you know he's not going to live more than 20, 30 years from the minute you put him in jail? If you give him 50, it's enough. He won't make it. Nobody lives to 800 years. Why do the judge declare such a punishment? Because they count how many crimes he made, 1 year for this, 2 years for that, 5 years for that. They add it all up. They really sit and calculate. Money laundering, 10 years. Selling drugs, 10 years. Fonzie scam, 5 years. They add it all up. Pornography, 10 years. This, 15 years. Rape, another 10 years. It adds up. Imagine how many crimes he made that he arrived to such a number, 845 years. This was one Hasidic Jew. 20 years he was in prison. He became very sick. President Trump set him free today. He was sure already he'll never see a daylight. What made President Trump send him free? A letter from the Satmar Rebbe. I saw the letter. The Satmar Rebbe wrote to him a letter. Listen carefully. The lover of the Jewish people and a great king who was nominated by God. I'm asking you to consider to release him. He will never dare to repeat the crimes he committed. He learned his lesson. His life was destroyed. He's now also very sick. And as an act of mercy, I, as the leader of the largest Jewish community in the world, or in America, I'm asking you to consider to set him free. As soon as he read the letter, who is this man? This? Free. Free. He released Rubashkin, released a lot of other ones. Why? It was very good to the Jewish people. As I'm reading the letter of the Satmar Rebbe, I get a video on my WhatsApp. I see a boy with a tzitzit and a kippah singing some song of a religious singer, Anachnu Ma'aminim, something like that. Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem is the king, Hashem. I didn't pay attention. So why are they sending me this kid now in kindergarten? I ignored it. But then an hour later, someone sent it with explanation. The grandson of President Trump is singing an Israeli song, Hashem Melech, while his parents are watching him in kindergarten. It's interesting. The President of the United States, a Goy, his grandchildren are Jewish. Bernie Sanders, a Jew, all his grandchildren are Goyim. That's the story of the liberal Jews of America. Them, they're all intermarried, almost all of them. Today, for every 1,000 Reform Jews, maybe you'll find 10 of them that are originally Jewish. From 1,000. Almost none of them is Jewish. Don't ever be impressed. Reform synagogue, this. Almost kulam goyim. Kulam becheskat goyim. You don't have to check the record. You already must assume that they are goyim. They assimilate with the goyim for 200 years in a row. How many generations is that? 11 generations. Marry goyim. You go here in Manhattan, few steps from here. Go to Fifth Avenue, Park Avenue. Some of the Reform synagogue. You walk in on Friday night, you think it's a jazz club. It looks like a jazz club. They have a band. One play cello, violin, drums, guitars. On Friday night, the rabbi over there is a Korean woman, Goya. Korean woman, Goya, not Jewish, nothing to do with Jewish. She loved Judaism, so she nominated herself to be a Reform rabbi. She has this little yarmulke and mini skirt and high heels. And all the band is all goyim. And all the audience are all goyim. And they sing Lecha Dodi in a synagogue. That's Reform. And then they make bar mitzvah for the dog. They put tefillin on his head. Those are the people who control now America. That's the new Biden government. Almost all of them Reform Jews. Yeah. You go on YouTube, put bark mitzvah, see how they excited when the dog bark. They put the tefillin on his head. So, actually, one thing I can tell you about the Reform people, they're not cheap. And they have a lot of money. Why? They have no olam haba. So if they did few mitzvot in their life, they get paid in this world. When they buy a Sefer Torah for their synagogue, they buy a kosher one, they pay $50,000, they ask, what's the best one you have? They have plenty of money. For them it's no different, 30 or 50. Right away they buy. You go to their synagogue, you'll be surprised. You see they buy top Sifrei Torah. I wonder. Most of them deny the exodus of Egypt. They don't believe in the Torah. Some of them do not believe there is a God. Most of them are not even Jewish. Why in the world they need to spend $50,000 on a Torah? They can buy chumash from the store for $7. Why do you need it for? Or buy these things that we let the children play with Hanukkah, you know, the Sifrei Torah and Simchat Torah. The kids have, you buy it for $15 in the store, the scroll. It's a paper. What do they care if it's a real leather of an animal or if it's a paper, or if it's printed, or if it was written letter by letter? What do they care? Anyway, they don't keep anything. Anyway, they marry men with men. They marry Jews with non-Jews. They make all the crimes of the Torah on a minute basis. So why do they need to spend $50,000? Why would they need to buy $2,000 pair of tefillin and put it on a dog? Because they will do everything they can to get everybody angry. What do they care about the Western Wall? That they fight there every week for the women to put tefillin and come and scream over there. Why? They really care about davening? Do you really think they daven at home? They only do it to create what do you call it? Provocation. That's all. Provokatiot in Hebrew. They want to make provokation. No, they don't really care about the Western Wall. They care about Bet HaMikdash. That's the world of lies that we live in. Well, it's time to open up our eyes. Enough being naive. Some people in Israel were screaming about Netanyahu. You ruined their relationship with the American Reform Jews. If Bibi knew a little bit reality, he would ask them, I don't know such thing, Reform Jews. Because they're not Jewish. If they would be Jewish, no, but they're not. They're becheskat goyim, all of them. What do you mean I ruined the relationship with them? They want to marry men with men. They want to bring all the goyim in the world to Israel to take over the government. I have to agree to it? If they're going to come to Israel, buy property, buy apartments, become an Israeli citizen, what's going to happen? Already what's happening now? They brought 1 million Russian goyim from Russia to Israel. The government published a document about 7-8 months ago that 96% of the Russians who came to Israel are Goyim. Only 4% are Jewish. The Israeli government, not the rabbis. The rabbis are afraid to talk. One rabbi had the guts to say something, Rav Yitzchak Yosef, the son of Rav Ovadia, they killed him, fire him, cut his salary, throw him out. Why? He only say what 2 days earlier the government published. הלשכה המרכזית לסטטיסטיקה, there's an office in Israel, they give the statistic. They say from the million Russian immigrants that came to Israel, 960,000 were not Jewish. I, until that day, used to say for 20 years that 80% of them are Goyim, and people used to curse me and go crazy. I actually gave them a discount. What? You and your exaggeration, 80%? In the end, I actually underestimated the problem. It was 96. 96%, there is one major problem now. Almost all of them marry Israelis. Why? They have a lot of pretty girls. The Israeli, you see all these pretty Russian girls, they know what's Jewish, not Jewish. They themselves live like Goyim. They marry her. She grew up in Israel. They have 3-4 kids. Family of 5 people. Only the Israeli husband is a Jew. All 4 are Goyim. Next family, same story. Next family, same story. Now, it's very possible at this moment that the majority of the people in Israel that are written as Jews are not Jewish. The majority. It's very possible. On the other hand, you go to the Palestinian territory. Palestinian territory. You put 1,000 Arabs to stand. Very possible that half of them at least are Jewish according to Halacha. This terrorist, Jew, 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 Jew. How can it be? Tel Aviv is full of Goyim. Gaza is full of Jews. Jericho full of Jews. Rafiach full of Jews. How come? Simple math. If in Israel you had 960,000 Goyim that joined when the country had about 5 million citizens 25 years ago. Now it's 9. Include the Arabs, 9. Yeah. I'm not talking about the Arabs. I'm talking supposedly 7 million Jews. Supposedly. Okay. 7 million Jews. But I'm talking 25 years ago when it was about 5 million Jews. So 25 years ago was 5 million Jews, and they added to them 1 million Goyim. Okay? So it's about 16-17%. After one generation, it's a lot more because they have a lot of children. In Gaza, do you know how many Jewish women married Arabs in Israel? 60,000. That's the statistic of the organization that fight this phenomena. 60,000 Jewish girls married Arabs. By force or by choice. One way or the other. Either he kidnapped her to the place because she was a drug addict and she stuck there and she never see a daylight. There's also cases like this. But some of them by choice. She fell in love with him. She met him in a club in Haifa. By the time she found out he's an Arab, because in the beginning he told her, my name is Rafi. And it was Rafik. Or my name is Yossi, and then it was Yusuf. And they speak fluent Hebrew, because they grew up in Israel. Some of them even students from the university, they're educated. And she met him in a club, and by the time she found out he's an Arab, it was too late already. It was too comfortable. A lot of them have a lot of money. They're into construction. They have big companies. They're building. They're very, very wealthy. I can show you a party that they made. You see 50 cars outside. Bentley, Ferrari, Porsche. No one in Israel has Bentley. No one. The richest people barely has 5 Bentleys in a year you won't find. They don't pay taxes. They expand their homes. They don't need permits. No one is talking to them. People are afraid to go into the territory. They let them do whatever they want. So they make fortune of money, and there's a lot of them do business with Dubai and Bahrain and other places. They go back and forth as much as they want, and they're very wealthy. And now a girl sees somebody like that with a nice Mercedes, He gives her whatever she wants. They're very romantic. He buys her all kinds of gifts. He goes to, he comes back. He brings all kinds of things. That's how it starts. 60,000 Jewish women. Each one of them has at least 10 children. Sometimes 17. You do the math. How many Jews are living in Palestinian territories? Right there, 600,000. Or maybe 800,000. But you know what's the biggest problem? A huge number of them join the Hamas. Why? Why the Jews becoming terrorists? Why? For one reason. When they go to school, everybody cares them. You Kalb, Yahud, get out of here. What are you talking to him? Is Yahud. For them, a Jew is like a demon. So as soon as somebody finds out that his mother is a Jew, that's the end of the boy. They abuse him now from first grade until 12th grade. Every day he gets punches, curses, whatever you want. So he wants to prove that he's not a Jew. He's a proud Arab. So the only way to prove that you're not a Jewish trader is to join the Hamas or the Jihad. So they come to kill us, and they are Jews. And who is the Israeli army? Half of them are Goyim. Druzim, Bedouim, Russian Goyim. That's what's going on. Plus, on top of it, you have about 150,000 Sudanis and Eritrea that came to Israel illegally. They occupied half of Tel Aviv, the whole south of Tel Aviv. And you cannot do anything about them. If you go to the old central bus station in Tel Aviv, if you come out of there alive, it's a miracle. You have to do Birkat HaGomel 50 times and make a big meal to thank Hashem. I'll show you a video when a Jew come, how they curse, these Sudanis. What are you doing here? It's not your country, it's our country. And the mouth that they have, such dirty mouth, and the Israeli police is not daring to come even near. People are dead on the street. People inject drugs, heroin. They're dead on the street sometimes for 2 days. Nobody comes. They're afraid to go there. Why? Very dangerous people. They kidnap people. They deal with prostitution. It's very dangerous people. Sudanis. Sudan is the center of terrorism in the world. All the PLO, all these people, the Palestinians, they train in Sudan. This is what's going on here. So, future we don't have, let's face it. The question is how it's going to end. The only way we're going to get saved is when the Mashiach comes. He's going to clean everything, puts everything back to the right order. And that's why the Gemara said that 80% of the people will vanish in a second when Mashiach comes. The question is, don't be so sure that we will remain. Don't be so sure. This is what I want everybody to wake up. Those wicked liberals, traders, Mechalelei Shabbat, obviously they don't have a chance. There's no argument about that. The question is about us. We keep Shabbat, we eat kosher, we try not to steal, we try not to talk Lashon Hara, we try to get our children good education, but we still may live in illusion. Why? Let's see. Let's see if I'm exaggerating, if I'm too fanatic, if I'm too strict, maybe I'm too radical, maybe I'm vile. You decide if I'm making it up or I'm reading it to you. So let's see. There is a difference between one lie to another. Someone that says about a wood that is gold, everybody knows is a lie. You bring a piece of wood, it's great gold. Don't have to be a genius to know it's a lie, right? Someone that says about copper, the special copper that looks exactly like gold. They make some watches with that. It's very hard to see that it's not gold. He brings it, and he said, great gold. You need a lab to know that it's not gold. That lie need an investigation. They both have this one mutual pattern. What is it? There are some people that fake, they imitation, right, of the copper and make it look exactly like the gold. That even the expert will have hard time to tell that it's not real gold. I remember my father was making diamonds. One time someone brought him a diamond and he checked it with a magnified glass And he said to him, something is fishy about this diamond, I don't know. He said to him, you're right, it's not a diamond, it's Russian imitation. My father was shocked. It's such a good imitation that even someone who cut diamonds for 30 years barely could tell that it's a fake diamond. It's not regular cubic zirconia that some people, even that they don't know about diamonds, they already see that it's not a real diamond. Some imitations are so great that even experts cannot tell. The same thing, the mind of people. The mind of people is like this. Some people are sharp. They have sharp head. You know, these criminal lawyers, I don't know, for every little detail to make a big deal, to create a doubt. Some people have a sharp head. And they constantly busy how to maintain the lies to make it look like a real truth. That's their entire life, in their job, in their business, in their profession. So they are busy non-stop to turn the fake into real. That's the way they are. But someone that is wise, he can tell the difference between real and fake. Right? There is a person that his entire character is all fake. For instance, when he knows that something he just heard or saw, it's a lie, he's attracted to it. He's attracted to fake things. Needless to say, when you have evidence that it's a lie, it looks like the truth, but these people are looking to live a fake lifestyle. Let me clarify what I'm talking about. You should know that every person is attracted to opinions that come across to him in his life based on his personality. Let me give you an example. A person will see a politician. He knows him personally. He grew up with him. He saw him 1,000 times lie and deceive, telling one story and a minute later say the exact opposite story. Could be his driver even. He lives with such a faker for 30 years. He's not only not allergic to him, he's a big admirer of this person. He is his personal assistant. He runs with him to places, whether he's a politician, whether he's a corrupted religious leader. Where were you all these years? You actually saw him taking advantage on people thousands of times in front of your eyes. You saw him with his phone calls inside the car, how he deceives people, how he just finished a conversation with one, and a minute later he called another person and changed all the details in order for him to cut a deal. And you driving him and you listen to all his lies from morning to night every day, and then you can go and learn with him in a yeshiva. And not only that, tomorrow if he needs your help, you run to fight his war. How is it? Because you are nothing better than him. Someone that is honest and clean, very allergic to someone like this. After 5 minutes, he would run from him like he runs from fire. Fact that he lives next to him, then means he's like him. Same thing applied to husband and wife. If the wife sees that she has such a husband, and 30 years she lives with him and she saw him 1,000,000 times deceive and lie to people, later when the FBI arrests him, she said, what do you want from me? I was afraid to talk. It's not my decision. That's the way it is. What could I have done? That's not an excuse. What you could have done, you could have run 28 years ago. The fact that you live there and enjoy from the wealth of all his stealing and selling drugs and deceiving people, it's really because you are nothing better. You just have someone that you took advantage on. It's comfortable, it's convenient. It brings you money, gives you freedom, nice car, nice maids, nice beautiful mansion, you live the life. And then after 30 years you come, I didn't know anything about it. I'm very much against it. You can fool the FBI maybe, but not Hashem. You saw him destroying people for years after years and years. If a woman sees that her husband is a serial killer, and she loves him, she didn't know. She found out one moment that he just killed 20 people in last year. Will she run to the FBI or no? If she's righteous, she will. If she's wicked, she won't. She will let him continue kill people. So do you understand what he's talking about? Depend who you are, that's who you are attracted to. If you yourself righteous, you're attracted to righteous, honest people. If you yourself a crook, you are attracted to everything dirty. That's why you go from one thing to another. We will actually clarify it a little further in the next page. Someone that is lazy, all his arguments will be to justify laziness. I'll give you an example. Moshe, why are you waking up at 10 o'clock every morning? Why you don't go to work already 6 months? Why you don't do anything with your life? Shh, what do you know? Why are you giving me now a headache? What do you mean? Why don't you go to work? Why should I work? Only a fool will go to work. God feeds everyone, right? He feeds the bugs, the elephants, he feeds the goyim, he feeds everyone. Why can't he feed me? I need to go to work in order for me to make money? I have trust in Hashem. Whatever I'm supposed to make, I make. Here, Trump just sent me $15,000 this year. Watching movies all days. Sitting at home, smoking, enjoying, walking around in a park with a mask, big deal. But the government send me every week $1,000. You see, I have trust in Hashem. This person is a tzaddik with emunah or is a crook? Big crook. Big crook. He does not believe a word of what he said. He wakes up at 10 because he's lazy. He doesn't go to work because he's lazy. I found in a lecture of some rabbi that the more confidence you have in Hashem, the less you have to work. So why should you kill yourself? Focus on Torah and mitzvot, and your parnasah will come anyway. Oh, beautiful. That's a great cover-up. From now on, every time his parents begging him, Moshe, why don't you go to work? Apply for a job. Do something with your life. Moshe, why don't you call the shatchani? Maybe you're going to get a date. Maybe you get married. Why should I do that? If I need to get married, Hashem is going to bring me my wife from under the ground when the time will come. This is all a cover-up for his laziness. He's lazy, will always back up lazy and hide besides laziness, and will make great excuses from the Torah. I'll give you another example. Every time I spoke in public against cigarettes, how terrible it is, how it kills the person, how it gives all kinds of diseases, how everyone around suffers from you, how your own wife cannot smell you. Who always argue with me in the audience? Now, one time, a person that is a non-smoker did not agree with me. Now, one time. Only the people who are smoking always fought me to the end. Why? Their future is on the line. If I win the argument, every time they light a cigarette, they'll suffer. Their conscience will kill them. Conscience. So they have to prove to me that it's not so bad. Cigarette is actually great for the stomach. You go to the bathroom, it's against constipation, it helps you, it gives you a peace of mind. They already have, believe me, a list of reasons why it's good to smoke. And you know what? If I will quit smoking, I will gain 300 pounds. So what's better, Rabbi? I'll die from sugar, or I should die from cigarette? I knew one who gave me a better excuse. He told me, you don't have to tell me cigarette is bad. I know it's bad, so why you smoke? I love to smoke. I don't want to live without cigarette. You take the cigarette away from me, I'd rather die. I had a guy in Israel about a year ago. After the lecture I gave about Shabbat, everybody went there crying. full force, about the punishment of Mechalelei Shabbat. He came out, he said to me, I already heard this lecture in your video. I already know how horrible it is to be Mechalel Shabbat. But what can I do? I'm addicted to cigarettes. I smoke 2 packs a day. I cannot go 15 minutes without a cigarette. I go crazy. So I told him, let me ask you a question. If I'll put a gun to your head right now, and I say to you on Shabbat, the entire Shabbat I walk with you with a gun to your head. As soon as you put a cigarette on your lips, I blow your head off. He said to me, honestly, I would light the cigarette. So I told him, come on, enough with these jokes. He said to me, I swear on my life, I would light the cigarette, tell you, let me finish it, and then kill me. So I say to him, you don't have to keep mitzvot. He said, why? I say, a moron is dismissed from mitzvot.
Oh, the same thing happened by the Mashgiach, the restaurant, the guy with the restaurant. The guy that came in, almost beat you up, the next day he came to shul again.
The guy that, very good. So, let's read a little bit more about liars. Now, someone that is angry will justify the reasons for his anger. Mitzvah to be angry at such rasha. Do you see what she do? Why are you so angry at your wife? Do you see what she's doing? I have to be. Why are you such a tough father? If I won't be like this, you know what's going to be with his kids? He will always find reasons to justify his anger. But why is he really angry? Because he has a mental disease. It's a mental disease. Now, after he loses his temper and scream and throw things and curse and fight with everyone on the street, when he calms down, he will give explanation why he had to react. Why? Because the person will follow always his weaknesses. And will always, if you have this problem, it will affect your opinion. Because these opinions are not pure. They are opinions that are biased. It's like getting a bribe. I'll give you an example. If you met a wonderful, beautiful, non-Jewish girl, angel, great personality, look beautiful, gentle, manners, loving God, loving Judaism, an angel, not one bad thing you can say about her. How will you justify your sin with her? The Torah says you're not allowed to live with a non-Jewish woman, even if she's the angel of the history, the most righteous in the history. And you are the dirtiest Jew in the history. You're still not allowed to live with her. Why? Because Hashem said so. Nothing to do with racism, nothing to do with who is better, nothing to do with that. It's not a decision based on race. And it's not a decision based on who's better. Nothing to do with that. Hashem wanted to reserve the Jewish nation in one family. If they all go and marry every other family, after 3 generations, not one of them will be left. The whole Torah, the whole purpose of the creation, everything will be destroyed. That's why he made like a VIP club. People wants to join the club, there are conditions. They have to be worthy, they have to prove that they can keep the mitzvot. They're more than welcome. The Gemara says one of the reasons that Hashem scattered all the Jewish people in the world is to help the Gentiles to convert. Even though Judaism is totally not a missionary religion, but if we happen to be already all over the world and we come across a righteous Gentile, we have to help him. Can't push him. Oh, but it's good. Leave him alone. No, it doesn't work this way. So now, a person that found a great girl will always highlight the fact that she's better than all the Jewish girls he dated, and she has much less demands than every Jap he ever met in his life, and she is willing to die for him, and she's more righteous, and she loves God. Everything is true. But why is he with her? Not because she's great, and not because she has a good heart, because she's a pretty woman. And he cannot give up his desire to her, even if she was bad and even she did not like Judaism. Then he would come with different excuses. How can you go with a German girl that her father was a Nazi? Why does she have to suffer for her father's crime? So no matter what you say, it will always give you a very convincing answer. But the truth is, connect them to a lie detector. Why are you going with her? Because she's not a Nazi? Because she has a good heart? Because she loves God? Baloney. This you can tell you know who. Why are you going with her? Because you love her beautiful eyes and smile and the other bribe you receive from her. That's why the Beit Din will not agree to convert someone that is in relationship with a Jew. Why? Because he'll never be authentic. There's always a bribe here. That's why when a person is living in a sin, he will always fight the truth because he just thinking about losing his privileges already push him to give all the excuses in the world to stay in his status. Why? It's delicious. He doesn't want bitter life. He doesn't want to suffer. He doesn't want to miss anyone. So he will find all the excuses in the world. Let's give an example. Someone that is Pazran. Pazran. What does it mean, Pazran? Messy. Everything he throws. His shoes in the middle of the room, the shirt on the floor, he finished the shower, all the towels are on the floor, the soap is on the floor, the shampoo is here, the garbage is upside down. His wife is a cleaning lady. That's what she came to the world. Why? Just cleaning after him is a full-time job. All the papers is all over in his office, one here, one in a different file. He doesn't remember. He loses all kinds of important things. So sloppy and so messy. Somebody like that, right? When you come and attack him, don't tell me I have my own order. I know exactly everything where it is. Why do you move it? Why? It's much, much harder to come and say, right, I'm a mess. I don't remember where my shoes are. I don't know where I leave my coat. It's very common with American kids. Ask an American family how many coats every year they have to buy. Why? The children go to the park to play basketball. They leave the coat there. Who cares? $300 coat. Daddy will buy a new one. Where is your suit jacket? Oh, I left it in the shul. Why? Why you took it off? It was hot. Okay, go get it. Next Shabbos. Next Shabbos, Vinny that cleaned the shul, Tony, whatever his name, already his son Jose already wearing your son's jacket. Why is it? Why is it? Because the kids, when they don't have discipline and order, that's the way it is. Someone that wants to be a man of God, or woman of God, first must get rid of all the negative personality traits that he has. Otherwise, he will never be able to have a strong connection with Hashem. If you're naturally a liar, you're going to have an obstacle between you and Hashem. If you're full of ego, you will have an obstacle. If you're very lazy, you will have an obstacle. If you're very angry, you'll have an obstacle.
That's the point of life. No,
that's the purpose of life. They asked the Gaon Mivilna, מה תכלית החיים? What's the purpose of life? He answered in one sentence, תיקון המידות זה כל האדם. תיקון המידות זה כל האדם. Once, if you remember, one time here, I gave a lecture about the two shitot, the Rambam and the Gaon Mivilna. What's the purpose of life? There are two mahalachim, two ways to look at it. They both have the same bottom line. But let me clarify. One shita is, you have to learn Torah because you need to be educated in a Taryag mitzvot. If you learn a lot of Torah, you will know all the 613 commandments. Then you will know how to keep the commandments correctly. And that will make you a better human being and fix your midot. 1, 2, 3. First, you have to learn a lot of Torah. Why? Because you will be very educated in Torah. Why? Because when you're very educated, you will keep the mitzvot, and therefore it will make you a better human being. You would respect your parents correctly. Before you didn't know that you have to stand when your father comes in, or when he speaks, you're not allowed to tell him, no, you're wrong, dead. You didn't know these things. What do you know? You didn't go to yeshiva. So you made a lot of mistakes in an average week. So the more you learn, the less mistakes you make. Therefore, if you become a Talmid Chacham, you will keep everything correctly and will make you a much better person. You give a lot of tzedakah, you give ma'aseh. In the time of Bet HaMikdash, you would bring the correct sacrifices. You would learn about impurity, what to do, what not to do with a wife. Therefore, you will reach the goal by fixing yourself to be a better human being, and it's thanks to the fact that you keep mitzvot, which is thanks to the fact that you learn a lot of Torah. That's one way to look at it. The second way is, why you have to learn Torah? Both she taught you must learn Torah all the time, because it's a pasuk in the Torah, v'agita bam yomam v'layla. You have to learn Torah all the time, around the clock, every open moment. You have to be kovea itim la Torah, morning and evening. So, both she taught you have to learn Torah. Now comes the second shita. Why you learn Torah? Because the Torah is an antibiotic against the evil inclination. It's antibiotic against the Yetzer Hara. You have Yetzer Hara, it's like infection, spiritual infection. It's always growing. Infection always grow until they kill you. The more it grows, the more your life is in a risk, the infection, right? How do you kill the infection? You take antibiotic. Or you inject antibiotic. What's the antibiotic against the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination? Is learning Torah. When you learn Torah, it reduces very much the desire and the Yetzer Hara. For instance, if you sit 10 hours and learn Torah and Musar, and then your friend will call you, there's a party in Manhattan tonight. There's going to be a lot of girls, not exactly modest, or maybe not even Jewish. Come over. If you did not sit and learn all day, you were busy with nonsense. Where? Aren't we late? But if you sat 10 hours and learn as a strong Gemara and Musar, when your friend calls you and said there's a party, Moshe, I'm surprised at you. You don't know I'm a Baal Tshuva? Why are you offering me such stupid offers? You want me to come with kippah and a beard to a party with girls like this? It's Chilul Hashem. What gave you the strength to go against your own nature? Your nature is to go after the girls. You enjoy it. Your entire life you used to do it. What gave you the strength to say no and to even get upset that he's even suggesting such thing? The Torah you learn. If you're naturally a stingy person, you don't like to give tzedakah. Somebody comes and asks you something, give him $1 and you get angry. Go to work, you parasite. Why are you coming all the time for money? What happens if you sit in a 2 hours class about charity? How much you gain from it, how it saves you from death, how it can change your entire future, how it will help you to get, your daughters will get Talmidei Chachamim because you give the yeshiva money. And 2 hours the rabbi pumping into your head how important tzedakah is and bring you sources and how much Hashem loves generous people who care about the poor and how the Torah says if a poor person come, open your hand, don't tight your hand, be generous, give him, don't feel bad when you give him, because of that I will bless you in everything you do. After 2 hours you hear such things. Now when you go out, a poor person come to you, you give him $50. Why you gave him 50 and you did not complain? Hashem will bless you, Bezrat Hashem, you won't need any more tzedakah. And you go home happy. Why? The 2 hours of Torah killed your infection. Your infection called stinginess. You learn Torah for 2 hours against stinginess, it killed it. It reduced from 100 to almost 0. But what happened 4 hours later? You finish with the shiur, you gave the $50. Now before you go to sleep, you come in your pocket and you check and you have $50 less. What happened? You feel a pinch in your heart. It's like someone stuck a knife in your heart. Oh my gosh, I gave $50 to a stranger. What a fool I am. Why did I even go to that shiur? You eat your heart. Why is it? Because that's your nature. You're back to the infection. So the goal of learning Torah, while you're learning, it reduces the infection. As soon as you stop, it begins to grow. So the more you are away from Torah, the more problems you will have. Why? Because you don't have the strength to fight your evil inclination. So that's the second shita. Why we're learning Torah? Because it kills the Yetzer Hara. And after it kills the Yetzer Hara, we will be able to keep mitzvot. So it will make us better people. And because we are better people, we will be able to keep the mitzvot. That's the Shitat HaRambam. So according to this, we have a little machloket here. What's the purpose of life? According to the Rambam, the final destination is to be a kosher Jew that keep the mitzvot. That's the purpose, to keep the mitzvot. According to Rabbi Vilna, the purpose is that you get rid of all the negative traits that you have. That's the goal, tikkun hamidot. It's very interesting that according to both of them, you must learn Torah all the time, and you must fight your bad midot. The question is between the second and the third destination, similar to Tefillin of Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. It's the same 4 chapters from the Torah, just the third and the fourth are switched. Why? 2 different opinions about the Tefillin, how to make them. Let's give a few more examples.
Also, I think some people have questions.
Yes, I'll give some time for questions, Bli Neder. The sheker, the lie, even if it does not make any damage, you lie to someone, it didn't make a damage. Did not make a damage. It's despicable in the eyes of Hashem. Abomination. To'avat Hashem, Yitbarach. How do we know? It's written in Mishlei Vav, Proverbs 6, verse 16 to 19. Shesh Hena Sna Hashem Vesheva To'avat Nafsho. Enayim Ramot Leshon Sheker. Translation: a person that spreads lies and his eyes are ramot, up, meaning everyone is down and I'm here. Someone like this, Saneh Hashem, Hashem hates. Vesheva To'avat Nafsho, meaning To'ava means abomination. That means Hashem despite someone like that very much. Second, אין בגוף השקר נזק לחברו, אך מתכוון להטעות חברו שיאמין בו ויפתח בו. You don't really mean to make your friend lose anything to you or to steal from him. You're telling him lies about you. What's the purpose of the lies? That he will trust you from now on. You want your friend to trust you. So you tell him all kinds of fairy tales about you. I did this, I'm donating to here, that rabbi said that I'm very honest. You're telling him all kinds of stories. Why? Because you want him to trust you. Why you want him to trust you? You want to remove his guard. He should not be alert, because right now he's nervous around you, he's worried. You feel it. So you begin to tell him all kinds of things. Or you give a lot of tzedakah near him. Oh yeah, here, give it to them. Why? You're building trust with a person. Why? Then later, when you want to stab him, it will be very easy and soft. The knife will go smooth. Why? Because you softened him before with deceiving him. That's similar to the people that open a business and they start building relationship with a supplier. and they order merchandise and they pay 30 days later. They order, they pay. They order, they pay. But every order they get a higher line of credit. It starts with $20,000. Next month, after he paid the 20, after 2-3 months, he increase your credit line to 40. But you have patience. Now a year later, it's already 100. 3 years later, it's already $500,000. Now you make a huge order of $500,000, jewelry or bags, whatever you sell. Boom, you close the corporation, you declare bankruptcy, you did it to 5-6 people, you steal $4 million, and you run to
Israel.
Morocco. In Israel, they'll get you, the FBI. Morocco, it's harder. Somebody like that is a huge criminal. First of all, every dollar he stole is going to have to be judged for. But that's how they build credit. They're not going to give you right away $500,000 credit line. They do it in such a way that a person is a crook or he planned it all alone. He did it and he did it.
The law in America allows you to do that legally.
The laws of Sodom also allowed to do a lot of things, but the people that did it, God killed them.
But shouldn't we follow the law of the land?
If that case,
Are we obligated to follow
at that case, let me ask you, why Hashem killed all the goyim of Sodom? They followed the law of the land. The law of the land said that a woman can marry with 2 husbands in the same house. 2 men can be married. Or you're not allowed to have guests. All kinds of strange laws they made. And God killed them. Because it was the law of the land. The law of United States will say now that you can marry in 2 men. If they're going to make a wedding like this, are you allowed to participate as a religious person? You're allowed to step inside such an abomination place? If you go inside, it shows that you are a faker. You're not religious. You cannot call yourself religious. If a person with a yarmulke on his head walk into a place that somebody marry men with men, which is a death penalty sin, abomination. It's homosexuality is a very, very serious crime. It actually has a bigger punishment than a murder. A murderer gets less punishment than mishkaveh zachar. And also, it also correct for the soul. So,
different things? We're talking about bankruptcy. In terms of
law of the land is all the law of the land. You can't say we follow this law of the land, but this law of the land will ignore.
yeah, but that's a controversial issue. This is more.
No, so I'm going to tell you now the simple rule. The law of the land apply only when it does not contradict the law of God. When the law of the land is the opposite of the laws of God, you're not allowed to obey it. If the law of the land means to take innocent baby and chop them to pieces, to kill them because you're not comfortable with having a baby, that's what they call abortion. That's the law of the land. They allow it here. Nobody goes to jail. Doctor that cut babies to pieces and chop them to pieces and stick the knife in their eyes, he's not going to jail. Why? Somebody paid him $10,000 to do it, and it's permitted until a week before delivery.
Right. So,
So is that allowed?
No. So if a person doesn't, well, I can't say wouldn't know or doesn't know better, right, in terms of that. But because he has these resources, accessible to him, he performs these actions, and then after 120 years, Hashem goes and says, "Why'd you do this?" He goes, "What do you mean? The state provided me assistance to get this done. How am I in trouble?"
Okay, so now,
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
yeah. Well, if
How can you judge someone?
if a Jew was born in China and the Chinese kidnapped him from his parents, and that's it, they can't find him. Go find him in China now. And the Chinese raised him as a Chinese Buddhist. That's how this Jew became. He doesn't know he's Jewish. He was a baby. And now he eats worms, and he eats cockroaches, and he eats monkeys, and he obviously not keeping Shabbos, and does everything the Chinese does, bow down to their idols. Will he be punished for being an idol worshipper? No. Will he be punished for eating cockroaches and rats before they even dead? No. Do you know what he will be punished for? What will he be punished for? If he will be a thief. Because that's a mitzvah that is required by common sense. Don't need to be religious to know not to be a thief. So if you'll be a thief, you will be punished for it. If you'll be a murderer, you'll be punished for it. If you will torture people, you will be punished for it. And one of the things you will be punished for is not to search for the creator of the world. Not to do a research. That's what Rashi says. Rashi says that if a person knows there is a creator to the world, he's not a fool, he see a creation, see order. Someone made this beautiful world. And then he knows that someone gave a book to the Jewish nation. Doesn't know anything about the Torah. He never opened it. He went to public school. He doesn't know Torah. But he knows there is such a claim by hundreds of thousands of Jews that they live according to the book of that creator. And they also know there is a special day in a week called Shabbat. They don't know what it is. They don't know what needs to be done in Shabbat. They don't know what Kiddush is. You're not allowed to sew, to write. They don't know any of that. But they just know these three things. There is a creator. He gave a book to the Jewish people. And there is a special day Shabbat. They can never be Tinok Shenishba after that. Why? They had an obligation to go and check. And by the way, a lot of secular people in Israel will tell you when they die, they have a lot of excuses. I didn't know. I did not grow up religious. My parents were atheists. We were lefties. They brainwashed me in a university against Judaism. I was a great doctor and it wasn't cool to be religious, in my environment. A lot of excuses. And all these excuses have some truth into it. But there's only one problem. Hashem will tell these people, yes, you're right, you gave me now 15 different excuses. But there's one problem. Your cousin grew up in the same way with you. Also public school, also parents like this, also went to university, also is a doctor, and is strictly religious. You and him grew up in the same horrible environment. He went and checked and fought with the rabbis until he saw that the Torah is divine and he started to follow it. And you could have done it, but you didn't. The Gemara says, Shigegat Talmud Ola Zadon. I'll give you an example. Let's say I became religious. I'm beginning to learn. Every week I discover new restrictions I didn't know about. You're not allowed to clean the shirt if something drip on it on Shabbat. A month ago I didn't know it. Today I found out. Next Shabbat I won't do it anymore. You didn't know that if you bleed you cannot brush your teeth. Someone just told you that. You don't brush your teeth anymore. You use mouthwash. Slowly, every Shabbat you improve. After 30 years, you die. Let's say you became Baal Tshuva age 40. Now you're 80. You move to the next world. Now there are hundreds of laws of Shabbat you didn't know. And you broke Shabbat every Shabbat. You didn't know about Borer. You didn't know. You didn't learn. You didn't know. How are you being judged? As Shogeg or Mezid? You didn't know. You would never do something on purpose. If you know you're not allowed to create fire on Shabbat, you'll never dare to do it. You'll never drive a car. You will never sew on Shabbat. You know. You'll never use a computer on Shabbat. But you didn't know about Borer. You're religious for 40 years. You don't know that if you take the negative out of the salad, I don't know, the lemon pit or something, or onion that you don't like, you take it out of the mixture, you just broke Shabbat. You didn't know that. I had in my house people that are Shomer Shabbat for 20 years. In front of me, they make sins on the table of Isurei Karet. Why? Ignorance. The question is now, how are you being judged? As Shogeg or Mezid? Intentional or not intentional sins? Fully intentional. The Gemara say, you had all the time in the world to come and learn. You are playing with life and death, with eternal destiny of your soul. And you take it easy? 30 years it took you to learn Aleph Bet? If it would be your stocks, you're about to invest $5 million in stocks, would you gamble or you would learn everything you can about this company before you put your money there? You check, you want to know how long they're in business, how much they grow. You look at the financial statement, you see articles that were made about them, all kinds of analysts. Why? Because you don't want to lose $5 million in a month. they can crash, next month you lose. So you check very carefully. When it comes to health, look what the people do against the vaccine. They don't care. 1 million Jews will die in Israel as long as they worry that one day the vaccine will have some kind of a side effect, maybe in 10 years from now. But they don't care that 100 people died today in Israel and 50 yesterday and who knows how many tomorrow. And it's going to go on forever because there's no other solution. They don't care. On the 1 to 1 million chance that someone will die maybe one day, they will fight, and all day they sit in the internet and write poison against the rabbis who allow the vaccine. Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Rav Zilberstein, Rav Sternborch, Rav Yitzchak Yosef, Rav Shalom Cohen, Rav Mutzafi, all the biggest Faradi rabbis and all the biggest Ashkenazi rabbis in the world, the Belzer Rebbe, they all unanimously say, today the Rav Chaim Kanievsky published, pregnant women must go get vaccinated, today in the morning. Live, came out of the oven. And they continue to fight Gdolei Israel, they continue to write against, you don't want it, don't take it. You want to die, die. It's your life. Why you keep convincing the whole world not to take it? Why? Ego. It's only one thing, ego. You started with this nonsense and you take it to the grave with you. You'll never bow down. You'll never put your ego down and say, listen, doesn't matter what I think. The biggest rabbis in the world are already said to take it. That's it. I'm not saying anything anymore. Forget what you heard from me. Why? Mevatel da'ati bifnei chachamim. You come to a Lubavitcher Chassid that say 25 years to do something. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe would look at him and say, no, it's wrong. It should not do it. Would he dare tomorrow to continue to say to do it? With a gun to his head, he won't say it. Why? The Rebbe say the opposite. End of story. But your opinion is the opposite of the Rebbe. You're also a smart guy. You also know Torah. You're a doctor. You're not just as good as him. Why are you giving up? Because he's the Rebbe and I'm not. There are concepts in Judaism. Once all the biggest rabbis in the world unanimously say not to take it, doesn't matter, even 1 million ordinary local rabbis will say to take it, we don't care. We follow the majority by quantity, not by quality, not by quantity, by quality. If you have 1,000 doctors, they all come and say, you should make the operation. And then you have the biggest doctor in the world in about brain. Some Japanese doctor, 40 years he teach doctors about the brain, is considered by all over the world as #1 doctor about brains in the whole world. He operates on the most complicated surgery, has the highest record of success, and 1,000 brain doctors, local ones, regular ones, anonymous one, they all say, make the operation. And these world top experts say, don't dare to do it. You do it, you'll be either dead or paralyzed. Who should we listen to? To the one biggest in the world or to 1,000 ordinary doctors? What would we do? The answer is clear. We'll take the advice of the top expert. Why? Because all the regular doctors, they have knowledge up to 70, 80%. And he has the whole picture. Maybe the little that he knows more than them changed the entire picture, right? So the same thing over here. Once the big rabbis say what to do, the answer is finished. The question is finished. We don't care anymore. Now going back to just conclude the answer to your question, all the laws of the state of the country are important to keep only when they do not contradict the divine laws of the Torah. If the Goyim allowed to make an abortion, you're not allowed to do an abortion. If the Goyim say you can declare bankruptcy every year, just pay $1,000 to the lawyer and he's going to take care of it. Take money from a lot of people with the intention to change the corporation name and not to pay it. And the state of New York will allow you to get away with that. Doesn't mean you don't owe them the money. If Reuven stole $1 million from Shimon and gave him merchandise, and he now comes to the state of New York and say, I'm bankrupt. He lives in a $10 million apartment in Fifth Avenue, and he comes to the court and he said, I'm bankrupt. And the court of New York say, okay, declare bankruptcy. You don't have to pay anymore. Nobody can bother him. And when Reuven come and knock on his door, where is my $1 million? You just took it from me a month ago. What did you do with that? I'm sorry, you're not allowed to come here. I'll call the police on you. And he called the police arrest Reuven. Not only he lost $1 million, he's sitting in jail now. You understand? That's Sodom laws. That doesn't impress God. You're still guilty 100%. Do you know when you're not guilty? If Reuven will tell you, I forgive you. You owe me $1 million, I see you really lost all the money, no hard feeling, I forgive you. If he said this word, I forgive you, you're clean. As long as he did not forgive you, you must pay him the money. Or to do everything you can to pay him the money. You're not even allowed to give tzedakah for the rest of your life. If you owe money to another person, Jew or a goy, and you did not pay him, and he's waiting anxiously to get paid, he calls, I need the money. No, when are you going to pay me? You're not allowed to go to the shul and buy aliyah for $1,000 and put a show there.
What happens if you don't?
Why? You owe money to people, they suffer because of you. Mitzvah הבאה בעבירה אינה מצווה.
What happens if they don't chase you? They know
If they don't chase you, fine. If you give them little by little and they're okay with that, then you can act normally. As long as you make the payments. Same thing mortgage. We all have mortgages. If the mortgage company wouldn't know that it will take 30 years to pay it, then you wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to give donations. Why you can give donations? Because you pay the mortgage company as agreed. Every month something for 30 years. They're okay with that. That allows you to give tzedakah. But if you defaulted on a payment, meaning you don't pay anymore, you cannot do whatever you want. You owe money to people and you go give tzedakah? What kind of a tzaddik you are? You torturing one Jew and making the other one happy on his blood? Can I steal the heart from Reuven and put it in Shimon to save his life? Shimon is dying right now in a hospital. I'm a doctor. I like Shimon. He's my friend. And there is another Jew over there. He's 99 years old. Reuven, 99. Shimon is 20. My friend, my best friend. I owe him my life. I have an opportunity to close the blind, take the heart from this guy Reuven, kill him, transplant the heart into my best friend 20 years old and save his life. This one is anyway, he already lived 99 years. What does he need to live anymore? Let's save Shimon. Allowed or not allowed? 100% murder. If 2 witnesses saw it in the time of Sanhedrin that I did such thing, it's execution for me. I won't be able to come and say, oh, I saved life. I didn't sell him the heart. He was in pikuach nefesh. So I took the heart from him and saved the life of the young person. There's no such thing. Even if you murder a person that is 120 years old, you know in a few hours he will die anyway. He's already 120. Today is his birthday, 120. Meaning he has maybe a few more hours to live. And you took his heart or anything, or his liver, and transplanted to someone else. You shortened his life by an hour or 2. Big deal. He's anyway in bed. What does he do? He doesn't even know what's going on. Big deal. But with these organs, you saved the life of 5 Jews. You're allowed or no? You're 100% a murderer. There is a way that sometimes you can do it. Depend according to who. According to Rav Ovadia Yosef, a person that is brain dead, that he has no way to come back to life. Meaning the only reason he's alive right now because the machines revive him. You disconnect the machine, he will die in a minute. Why is he still alive? Because of the machines. Meaning from the Torah is dead already. The Torah says everyone that cannot breathe on his own is considered dead. Kol asher neshama be'apo. No. Everyone that cannot breathe, according to the Torah, if he cannot breathe, he's dying. 1 or 2 minutes, you're dead. You cannot live without breathing. So today we invented machines that can make people breathe thanks to the machines. Without the machine, they would die. What saves their life? The machines. There's a lot of great machines. The machines pumping the heart and the liver and the lung and throw oxygen in. There's all kinds of things that the machine extend the life. How long? Maybe 2 days, maybe a week. That's just about it. He's going to die anyway. He's brain dead. There's no way to come out of brain dead situation. So what happened? Rav Ovadia Yosef said, since this person is dead anyway, and the only reason he's still not officially dead is because of the machines extending his life artificially, you're allowed to take organs from someone like this to save the life of other Jews. You have few Jews in the hospital that without these organs they will die. And they are young, they can have a life. This is a father of 5, this is a father of 10, this is a mother of 5. You can save other people. So according to Rav Ovadia, you're allowed, and Rav Eliashiv disagree and say that it's still murder, even though he's brain dead. By taking his heart out of this, you're killing him with the hands. Even though we extended his life artificially, sof kol sof, he's still alive, there's still movement, his heartbeat. Because you stopped not, or you disconnected him from the machine, you killed him with your hand. So what's the rule? If a person comes to the hospital and is very sick, everything in his body is collapsing, everything. The doctor do not give him a 1% chance to live. It's a matter of days. He must die, there's no other way. We can't do anything. But we can connect him to machine, maybe he'll live a month. Without the machine, by tomorrow afternoon, he'll be dead. If we connect him to machines, he will live another month or 2. You don't have the obligation to connect him to machine. You see suffering, you the son, you the guardian, you can tell the doctor, leave him. Let him die naturally. Whenever Hashem wants, he'll die. But if they connected the machine without asking you, you're not around, they connected the machine, there's no permission to disconnect the machine. Because that's considered killing him by hands. Letting him die naturally, not extending in life when he's sick, when he's suffering, it's permitted. But to disconnect him from the machine, to save him from suffering, it's not allowed. You can pray that Hashem will take him away. The Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan, once Rish Lakish died, Rabbi Yochanan went nuts without Chevruta. He said, oh Chevruta, oh Mituta. 10 boys he buried, he stayed normal. When his partner for learning Torah passed, he could not function. Why? Because anyone who would try to make him learn with did not reach the level of Rish Lakish. And he had no life without learning in a high quality. So they saw that he suffers so much that he doesn't have good Chevruta. All the Chachamim gathered together and prayed that he should die, and he died. From here we learn that we don't have an obligation to extend the life of someone that suffers, and we are allowed to pray to Hashem to take him. I remember when Rav Eliashiv was fighting for his life, was 102 years old, everyone in the world prayed non-stop for Rav Eliashiv, until one rabbi, after a month or 2, he said, okay, enough is enough. They want to take the neshama of Rav Eliashiv to heaven, and all of us preventing it. And he's suffering for nothing, because we all pray, and Hashem is holding his death. Let him go in peace. After that, a few days later, why? Because we daven, and Hashem listens to the prayers. In the meantime, you only sit and suffer there. Okay, let's move on. The sheker, the lie.
That's a question about what you said.
Yeah.
You said that Tino should be bad, according to Rashi. So does everyone agree with that? Does the Rambam, for example, agree with Rashi? And also, Rashi himself, in Sanhedrin, I'm saying over there it says a goy, we say that HolyLand Milmud, that we hold them. It's Shidas Talmud Allah Zadon, that we say for a Talmud Chacham, the Gemara says. But for a regular person, Jenny of the Milmud, we say, by that we say Mizidim is Kirikish.
Yeah.
What they do on purpose, consider shogeg.
Today, in today's generation, all the Chachamim, besides the Chazon Ish and the Lubavitcher Rebbe, all poskim that the Chilonim of today are not Tinokot Shenishbu. Rav Ovadia, Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul, Rav Eliashiv, Rav Wozner, all of them. They are not Tinokot Shenishbu. Rav Yitzchak Yosef also gave a whole speech about it. The Chazon Ish in his time, he said that the Chilonim are Tinokot Shenishbu, but when he spoke about Ben Gurion and the Zionist and the communist, he hated them very much and he called them Reshaim. Chazon Ish spoke very much against them. So if he held that they are Tinokot Shenishbu, obviously he would not call them Reshaim and he didn't want to look at the face of Ben Gurion. Why? If he's a Tinok Shenishba, he's not a Rasha. He's a miserable person, misken. We have to have mercy on him. So we see that even according to Chazon Ish, Chazon Ish held that some of the Chilonim are Tinokot Shenishbu. But Rav Ovadia gave a whole answer that they are not Tinokot Shenishbu. Rav Eliashiv, all the poskim of the generation. Based on the opinion of Rashi, that if a person sees there is such thing Torah in the world, and today all the Chilonim, they have YouTube videos, millions of CDs are everywhere in the world, in Israel, millions of CDs were given. There's arguments about the religion non-stop on television. There's a lot of television shows that shows the life of the religious people. They make a lot of shows about the life, and they show yeshivot, and they saw religious people fighting for Shabbat. They moser nefesh to prevent chilulei Shabbat in Yerushalayim. They lay on the ground. They go to jail for it. And none of that woke them up to come and investigate and to check, to see, to have an argument, to read a book about it. I know that I reached at least 2-3 million Israelis, at least, maybe even more than that, in the last 25 years. My videos are everywhere. They have hundreds of thousands of views. My website has millions of views every year. They went all over. We gave more than 2 million CDs in Israel. Everywhere I go in Israel, everybody knows me. I go to the gas station, all the Chilonim knows me. Everywhere I go, I come to the airport, right away they know me. Police, they know me. A policeman pulled me over. Almost everyone knows me. They all know me. That means they heard at least one clip of mine. At least one. But they're not changing. I was on live television with the biggest atheist, Amnon Levy. A whole show. I published the entire interview with 100 and something thousand people over there, Chilonim, that watched it, and they usually anti-Torah. And some of them became Baalei Tshuva. The question is why the other ones did not? Because they chose to be wicked. You know the Gemara say...
I didn't understand though. Rashi is who Harshan.
Not only. There's machloket if Rashi is... I show you a whole chapter in a book of my rabbi that Rashi wasn't a parshan, Rashi was a posek. Yes, there is some who wants to say Rashi is a parshan, but Rashi mefaresh aliba de ilchata. That's his opinion, that should be the halacha. He brings all the opinion, but Rashi from... But generally speaking, one thing we know for sure, that if you read Be'ezrat Hashem some of the answers of the poskim about Tinok Shenishba of our generation, you will see that almost all of them, they agree. Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, Or LeZion Chelek Bet, he said that Chiloni that say a bracha, you're not allowed to answer amen. Rav Ben Zion only passed 20 years ago, was the biggest Faradi rabbi in the whole world, and the biggest Mekubal. In Or LeZion, Chelek Bet, he say, if he say bracha, you're not allowed to answer amen. If you say Kaddish, you're not allowed to answer amen. You're not allowed to give him aliyah la Torah. This is a psak from 25 years ago. Or LeZion, Chelek Bet, he came out 25 years ago.
לא את שבת, כי הגיעו את העלייה לתורה רק ביום חול. ביום חול, לא?
No, all the time. Not allowed to give him aliyah. מחלל שבס, it's written 7 פעמים בשולחן ערוך, הרי הוא כגוי לכל דבר. הרי הוא כגוי לכל דבר. Rav Ovadia Yosef was more lenient about it. He said because it creates fights, people get angry, you don't give them aliyah, they have bar mitzvah. He said, Mishum darkei shalom, you can give them aliyah, but make the Baal Koreh either say the bracha with them, or the maftir will be counted as one of the 7 olim. We went completely off the subject. I just want to finish it. Wait. I have a little bit to finish. I at least want to finish this topic. Shh. Now, there is a lie that does not create a damage to your friend, but wants your friend to trust you that later on you can deceive him. It's written in Yirmiyah Tet, Pasuk Zayin, בפיו שלום את רעהו ידבר, ובקרבו ישים אורבו. He speaks smoothly and peacefully to his friend, while he's planning later on to stab him. That's called in Hebrew אחד בפה, אחד בלב. What your mouth say and what your heart plan is sometimes two opposite. So that's pasuk in Yirmiyah chapter 9. The third kind, someone that lied to his friend not to steal from him. אך הוא רואה טובה שעתידה לבוא לחברו והוא מהדר אחר טובה לקחת אליו בשקר וברמאות. I'll give you an example. You have a friend in yeshiva that wants to sell his car for very good price because he's making aliyah to Israel. And your friend, his friend wants to buy the car, let's say $5,000, and he goes and say to him, oh, this car had a rough life. This guy abused the car very much. Why is he telling him that? Because he wants him to give up on his plan to buy the car, that he should go later on and buy it. Same thing with apartments, same thing in shidduchim. They offer me this girl, what do you think? Oh, her father had a record, you didn't hear, it was an article about him. If I would be, I wouldn't go. After he give up, he runs quickly to the shadchanit. Can you set me up with her? That's what we're talking about, this kind of crooks. He will tell his friends lies עד שייתן לו מתנה, until he's gonna get some kind of a gift from him. For instance, he say to him, you know how much I protected you? I went to the house of John. Everybody spoke against you. I stood up. I yelled at them. I put them in their place. They're all your big fans now. You feel so great. Now you have a shul. You give him aliyah, the best aliyah. Why you give him aliyah? Because before the davening, he came and told you how much he fights for you and how much he donated to your yeshiva and all kinds of stories like this, which is all lies. And as results of these lies, he gets all kinds of benefits. That's a big sin from the Torah. Then, someone that machlif diburo, that deceive in his speech, is equal to an idol worshipper. idol worshipper. כשנאמר, אולי ימושני אבי והייתי בעיניו כמתעתיה. Yaakov say to Rivka, if my father will fill me out with his hands, I will be like מתעתיה. מתעתיה means deceiver. Deceiving him. And there is גזרה שווה, there is a pasuk, הבל המה מעשה תעתועים. Speaking about Avodah Zarah, it says, Avodah Zarah hevel hema, ma'aseh ta'atuim. It's a deceiving. Why it's deceiving? You worship the wrong God. You give credit to a piece of metal. That's deceiving. So therefore, we learn from Gzera Shava. Same thing, Yaakov say, I will be a liar, I will say that I'm Esav, but I'm Yaakov. I'm cheating my own father. If he will find out, I would look in his eyes as a deceiver. And Avodah Zarah is the same word, ta'atuim, meta'atea. From here, Chazal learns that if you're a crook and you lie in your language, you're equal to an idol worshipper. And an idol worshipper is equal to a Mechalel Shabbos. And both of them have no share to the world to come. It's written in the Rambam, מחלל שבת בפרסיה ועובד כוכבים ומזלות, הרי הם כגויים לכל דבר. And he gives a list of things. They touch the wine, it's not kosher. If they testify, you cannot accept testimony from them. Why is it? Those are the only two sins that exclude a person from the Jewish nation. For instance, a person is Shomer Shabbat but murders someone, is still a Jew. A person is Shomer Shabbat, but he steals every day. Every day steal. Big thief.
Is this Torah keeping Shabbat? Or Rabbanan keeping Shabbat?
Rabbanan and Torah, it's all Doraita. I tell you why. Because the Torah say that everything the Chachamim ruled, you must listen to them. לא תסור מכל אשר יאמרו לך ימין ושמאל. Therefore, everyone who does not listen to Rabbanan, that's rabbinical. That's not death penalty. It's not karet. It's chachamim. That's 1.5 sins. When you violate rule from the Torah, you have a problem with Hashem. Hashem said not to do and you do.
This is knowingly?
Knowingly.
So what you mentioned before about like borer, a person didn't know about borer.
considered short. It's not considered short.
You know the people that say, why you don't come to learn? Because I don't want to know too much. Why? The more I learn, the more I have to do. Someone like this is mezid or shogeg? Obviously. Some people are fools. They have no brain. Really, I met people like this. Their brain is not functioning. You can teach them a month, they won't know two halachot. People like this, I'm almost confident that Hashem will give them a huge discount about their sins. Why? Their brain is blocked. Some of them, when they were secular, they went to India and smoked non-stop grass and messed up the brain. I had students like this. When they come to the yeshiva, they leave after a week. No matter what shiur they sit in, they cannot keep up more than 5 minutes. They go like this, on a table. What? You just slept 8 hours. Why are you so tired? It's not tired. His brain cannot work. It's similar to a hard drive that is 50% messed up. The computer freezes all the time. You know what I'm talking about? That's very much alike. Why? Drugs messed up the brain. Question is, when he was secular young, someone gave him drugs and he became addicted and he messed up his head. Now he wants to be a tzaddik, but he can't learn anymore. Maybe he's a nus. Maybe. But someone that doesn't want to come to learn, he brings them on himself.
What about halachot that are not clear?
Such as?
Well, there's 2 ways to go. Let's say some people keep 1 hour, some people keep 6 hours. If you keep 1 hour...
It's clear, depends who you are. If you're Sfaradi or Ashkenazi, if you're Sfaradi or Hasid, you keep 6 hours. If you Dutch from Holland, 1 hour. If you're German, Yeke, 3 hours.
Is that breaking the right?
That's their rules, that's their tradition. They follow the rabbis of their place.
If you grow up at 6 and you keep 1.
It's not allowed to. You have to follow Torah Avicha. You have to follow the way of your father and mother. Everybody follow is tradition. Ashkenazi follow the rules of the Ashkenazim, the tradition of the Ashkenazim. Hasidim have their own tradition. Temanim, for instance, Temanim, they're allowed to eat a soup on Shabbat, like the Rambam and the Rashba. The Temanim, they can take soup that is cold in a fridge that was made before Shabbat, and they heat it up they drink it, or chulent, liquid, they can heat it up.
Can Ashkenazi eat that?
Ashkenazi can do it only to make it a little bit warm, not to be yad soled.
No, even within the meal, when they eat up the soup, can I eat that soup?
They did nothing wrong. They did not break Shabbat. Therefore, you did not enjoy from a chilul Shabbat of a Jew. Same thing we called Ashkenazim to take the stroller of our babies, Faradim that don't hold by the eruv, because it's string. For the Ashkenazim, it's no sin. So the girl of the neighbors, she takes the carriage from here to where you're eating. So I give you an example. In yeshivot that have Sfaradim and Ashkenazim, when the cook, he has the chulent, he removes it from the blech on Shabbat and he puts in different jars. Now he puts it back on the fire. Depend. If it's Faradim, the only way to return it back to the fire, to the blech, is when if you put your finger in and your finger is still burning, you can put it back. If your finger is not burning, it's very warm, but you're not going to get burned. You keep it 10 seconds inside, you don't scream. For Sfaradim, it's already too late. They cannot return it. But Ashkenazim, as long as it's a little bit warm, they can return it to the blech. So for instance, in yeshiva that the cook is Ashkenazi, he had 100 jars from a huge chulent, in yeshivot, they have 1,000 people. So he filled it up, they put one in each plate. By the time he finished, it was already 20 minutes out of the blech. Now it's warm a little bit. If he puts it back, the Sfaradim can enjoy from it later if it's hot. Why? Because the Ashkenazi didn't do anything wrong. Not only that, Sfaradi can even ask the Ashkenazi, can you make sure that I get a hot chulent? Why? For him it's warm, he can put it back. Sfaradi cannot put it back. Now, the someone that changing his words equal to an idol worshipper. 4, someone that lies when he tells a story that he heard from someone, he changed few details. He stick to most of the story, but few details he changed. And he does not gain any profit from changing the details. Right? And he won't make any damage to his friend as well. The friend will not be damaged. Why will he do it? Why? Sometimes it's some kind of a mental disease. Just hard for him to say the truth. Or he wants the story to be more bombastic, more juicy. If I would say that it was only 30 shekel, 30 shekel, you're telling me a story, let's make it 500 shekel. It reminds me about this money. When I go to Israel on a tour, there used to be a guy, Yoel, Tzaddik, he volunteer, he comes with a boot with my picture on it, has a big jar, and he writes, anyone who wants to participate in sponsoring CDs, please donate. Stop. So, people in Israel, you have coins that worth a lot, like 10 shekel, it's almost $3. Coins. 5 shekel, it's like $1.50 almost. So a lot of people give coins. Shekel, 2 shekel, 5 shekel. Coins in Israel have a value, not like here. It's worth nothing, the coins. So by the end of the lecture, let's say we have a glass full of coins. Could be 200 shekel, 250 shekel, all in half a shekel, 2 shekel. But it's very heavy. Can't put it in a pocket, your pants will fall down. So what do? If we have a plastic cup, we put it in. If not, it's sometimes in a bag. It's a real burden now. What are we going to do with all these coins? So we have two things we do with that. Either we use it for the gas with the car when we go from one lecture to another. We give, but the guy gets crazy. In Israel, people have short temper, you know. Give him 300 coins, shekel by shekel. Don't worry, I give you 10 shekel tip. It counts now for 10 minutes. That's one option. What happens if you have a full tank? The other option is we go after that to eat. There's a kosher place that open all the way to the morning. So what do? I count, while my driver drives, I count all of them in a car, and I write how much it was, and I put money from my pocket, my personal money instead, and we use the coin to get rid of it in a restaurant. Otherwise, what are we going to do with a pile of coins? Can't do anything with that. One time before the last trip, we had I don't remember the exact amount, 167 shekel and 50.5, something like that. I go to the place, I say, make a sandwich like this, make a sandwich like this, for me, for him, drink, this, that, put this, put that. How much? Is now holding it all like this in my hand. How much? 167 and 50. I say, here. He looks at me, the guy, ma here? Ma hine? Here, exactly. Come on, don't make jokes here. Promise you, it's exactly the amount. The guy started to count. Now there are a few Russian goyim works there at night. They all came like this. They're counting. It's unbelievable. Exactly the same. Cannot be. Same thing. Same exact amount. Why? Miracle from Hashem. What difference does it make? If it will be 10 shekel more or less, no big deal. Hashem is showing you everything is under control. From time to time you get a little smack to wake up. The fifth one, someone that promised his friend, not officially promised. He said that he will benefit him. I will take you, I will drive you, I will come, I will do that, I will send for you, all kinds of promises, but not official promise. Or I will give you something, okay? And he actually had in mind to give. He didn't lie. He said, I'm going to come in 2 days, I'll stop by. And he really planned to come, but he didn't come. Someone said, someone like that can chas v'shalom can fall in a neder. But what happened if someone like that in the time that he says he's going to do it did not have in mind to do it at all? Are you going to come? I'm having a birthday party. When? Thursday. You coming? Yeah, Bezrat Hashem. Yeah, bli neder, I'll come. No, don't say bli neder. No, I will come, don't worry. And in his mind, he already knows Thursday is going to be out of town, bichlal. He's just telling him that. That's called echad b'peh, echad b'lev. That's a lie. You have to tell him, I'm sorry, I won't be able to come because I'm not in town. The sixth one, someone that promised officially, official promise, I promise you, I give him my word, or even shook his hand, that I will do such and such for you, must keep his promise. If not, he gets a bigger punishment than the one before. Why? Because the one before was only dibur be'alma, not an official promise. This one is an official promise, like an agreement. So someone that promised, I know someone that lives in a very big mansion, somewhere in a very fancy neighborhood, and a neighbor came to live next to him, and they had an argument, big argument between the neighbors and him. This person is not a man of fighting. He decided to move. He lives there for years. A new neighbor came, something happened, I don't know exactly what, he never told me the detail, he's watching his mouth. So he said to me, I'm moving. Man, you're moving? Well, you have a great house, great place, you the heart of the community, why would you move? No, I moved not that far. I gave a down payment on a house. After a week or two, he said to me, I want you to ask your big rabbi in Israel if I can back out of the deal. Corona just started, this, that. Maybe I have a way to get out and get my deposit. Houses over there cost millions of dollars. That means 10% is hundreds of thousands of dollars that you have to put down when you sign a contract. I called up my rabbi. I told him, look, things worked out between him and the neighbors. They made peace. It was like misunderstanding. He doesn't really need that house. It's millions of dollars. It's going to be such a headache. Just the moving will cost $100,000 to move the mansion that he has. Imagine how much he's going to lose and how much he put into that house until he finally made it finished. Now to start all over again. We made a conference call. He doesn't understand Hebrew, this guy. And he said, tell him, the Chazal are very much makpid about someone that says something and doesn't keep his word. It's mi shechozer bo uktan emunah. The Chazal actually was very strict against. So tell him he's not going to have a blessing doing something against Chazal. He should buy that house and Bezrat Hashem, there will be blessing over there. I said, I imagine I have to give him the news. I told him that's what it is. Mi shepara, the Gemara says, mi shepara midora mabul, hu yipara mi shelo mekayem et diburo. The same one who punished the generation of the flood, which is Hashem, that they were wicked people, will also punish those who say something and don't keep their promise. And when you put a down payment on a house, so what did he do in the end? He bought that house and he made it a yeshiva and a shul and host for Shabbat for people to come, rabbis that come to the community. And thanks to that, he actually taught his son to be a contractor. His son just finished yeshiva. He doesn't plan to sit all his life and learn. Through the work, his son became expert in building now, reading the plans, the permits, learn everything. So now, from this house, which he didn't lose, he's going to make in the future a lot more, because now they're going to buy real estate, renovate it, sell it. You know the profit, I don't have to tell you. In the end, all you need is strong emunah and everything will work out. Next thing, the seventh one, someone who mislead his friend to tell him that he did him a favor or said something good about him, but he didn't. That's called gonev da'at habriot.
Say it one more time.
That's called gonev da'at habriot, stealing the mind of the public. How do you steal a mind of a person? I'll give you an example. You come out of your house, you walk out in the street, and a neighbor is walking towards the building. Oh, Moshe, you didn't have to come out to come say hello all the way to the parking for me. You didn't come for him. You're making a shortcut from the parking. So you say, oh, why, Reuven? Why not? You're such a good neighbor. I saw you. I wanted to come shake your hand. What's wrong with that? It's making peace, but it's not the truth. You have to tell them, actually, I was going to the store, and I cut from the backyard, but I'm very happy I met you. But you have to be careful. Even this consider a lie.
Can't make someone feel good?
You can make you can make someone feel good. You can make someone feel good, and sometimes mitzvah also. Like if you're a Rebbe and you have a student and he's not the greatest, finally when he asks a question, you have to say, wow, great question. Why you build this confidence? For positive sake. Also, if you have some kind of a fight with that kind of neighbor, you're allowed to tell him something to make peace. Sheker l'shem shalom. But here we're not talking about that you have a fight with him. It's regular friends. You make him feel that you came all the way to welcome him.
He knows you're sarcastic. A lot of friends do sarcasm.
Sarcasm in the Torah, I believe it's a lie. A lie comes out of a person's mouth.
About a guy who went straight to Gan Eden because he was a comedian, he made people laugh. Right?
There were two people that were making the people in the market happy by telling them all kinds of happy stories. Mi ben haolam haba, they asked Eliyahu Hanavi, he showed these two clowns. But they were not secular clowns. They were religious people who also do everything they can to make people happy. That's it. And the eighth one, and we're almost done, we have 8 and 9. Eighth one, someone that takes credit for something he doesn't deserve. For instance, people tell him, oh, you're such a Talmid Chacham. You probably finished the whole Shas. And he goes like this. No. Yeah, wasn't easy. Barely finished 2 Masachtot all his life. You know all these people that say, I made Siyum. We're making a Siyum. Go test him on a page, see if he knows one thing. Serious. Usually all these people that make Siyumim, they barely knows. Some of them barely understand even one Rashi in a Shas. They see it, they learn without scroll, they memorize a little bit, they do Siyum. Baruch Hashem, it's good. It gives them motivation to continue to learn. If you come and tell them, Rav Steinemann had a couple came to him. Rav Steinemann was very humble. So imagine if he did such a thing, imagine how important it was. The woman wanted to buy a minivan. Minivan in Israel is luxury. And the husband say, we live among Avrechim here in Bnei Brak. Everyone is poor here. How do you want to buy such a fancy Toyota? I'm afraid of Ayin Hara. When everyone is around, they'll be jealous. Chas v'shalom, something can happen. The wife say, why? But Hashem gave us money. We should suffer just because they don't have. They're arguing back and forth. They went to Rav Steinemann. Why don't you want to buy your wife a minivan? Not because of the money, Kvod Harav. It's the problem is that I'm afraid that all these avrechim, it's going to be Ayin Hara. They see it, they may get jealous, all these things. So Rav Steinemann said, did you finish the whole Shas? I said, no, I'm not a rabbi. Can I test you on the whole Shas? No. Can I test you on one Masechet? You name it. Bring a Gemara, let me ask you some questions about it. This person come to ask about the car. Rav Steinemann said, can I test you about the Masechet? And this is a religious person. He said, no, I'm not comfortable. The whole Masechet, Kvod Harav. Okay, one chapter. Can I test you about one chapter in the Shas? Any chapter you choose? Kvod Harav, one whole chapter? I may not remember everything. No problem, you're right. One page in the Shas, you name it. One page. Can I test you on one page in the whole Shas? Kvod Harav, depend, I'm not in your level. No, I'll test you like elementary school. I rather not. You can buy the minivan. So why? What's the connection? He says, someone like you, there's no reason to be jealous with. You don't know one page in the Shas, you worry people will be jealous with you for a piece of metal? Buy the minivan. Rav Steinemann, the most humble one in our generation. You wanted to wake him up. You worry about the minivan, people will be jealous with you. You don't know one page in the Shas. So the eighth one, he takes credit for something he doesn't have or didn't do. Or we heard that you're the one who donated the shelves to the shul. He doesn't say it wasn't me. So let everyone believe it's him. Very good. Someone that get respect because people thinking that he did something good or have something in him and he doesn't, it's also stealing data briot, also not allowed. Even though you did not initiate that lie. It happened to be. Not allowed. The ninth one. Someone that say a story that he heard and change details in a story not to cause people financial loss, just to gain personal honor. He gets personal honor for himself. You know, why is it? Because he's going to get some respect about something he never, because he changed the details. One of the main problem of the liars, that even when they finally say the truth, no one believes them. That's the consequences of living in a life of lie. The Torah warned not to be connected to liars. Midvar sheker tirchak. Speak as less as possible with him. You have a cousin. All the things he does is lies. Everything in his life is lie. The less you talk to him, the better it is. Don't want to save the whole world now. You're going to be next to him. Your children's going to learn from him. Not a good influence on you. Why? Because this is the way of the Yetzer Hara. Sometimes Chachamim gave permission to lie. In some rare occasions, such as to make peace between two individuals, or husband and wife. Or if a person is marrying a woman, they already got engaged, they have a date for a wedding, and he comes and asks you, how is my future wife? Is she pretty? You're already going to tell him. The Gemara, there's a machloket Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Bet Hillel say, you have to say, Kala na'a v'chasuda. Beautiful, pretty girl. Bet Shammai asks, how can you say a lie? You know she's ugly and you're going to say she's pretty? It's a lie. Not allowed to lie. So the answer is, Sheker L'Shem Shalom. To make peace. He's happy with her. He chose her. He likes her. He loves her. Now you're going to come and tell him she's ugly. You're going to give him all kinds of opinions that he didn't have before. And slowly, he's going to start changing his mind because people follow what they hear. So you have to tell him, she's beautiful. Wow, you made a great choice. Same thing if someone bought a suit or a woman bought a dress and she asks you, how is it? Very pretty. After they already bought it, no refund, no nothing, very nice. Or if they bought it and they pay a little bit expensive, don't come and say, I saw it 20% cheaper over there. If they can get refund and go get it over there, then it's good, you save the money. But if you know they bought it from a place, no refund, don't come and say, they cheated you. You could have got it $300 cheaper. Why? They're never going to enjoy it. Every time they look at it, they remember that somebody actually cheated them. As I told you, to conclude, the stamp of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is emet. Lo yikon dover shkarim leneged enai. Someone that speaks lies, I cannot look at him. Why? Because me and him are the exact two opposite. And you should know, Rabotai, and we finish here, David HaMelech saying Tehillim 15, Hashem mi yagur be'oalecha, mi yishkon be'ar kodshecha. Who will be with you for eternity in the next world? The answer, Olech Tamim, an innocent person, upoel emet, always follow the truth, vedover emet bilvavo, and his heart is also honest and pure. Not a deceiver, a crook, a liar, committing tricks. לא אמר דובר אמת בפיו, דובר אמת בלבבו. Not only that he makes sure, force himself to say the truth, which is very high level as it is, higher level, that even in his heart, automatically will always follow the truth. Why? That became his nature. 100%. As it's written, תורת אמת הייתה בפיו, ועוולה לא נמצא בשפתיו, כי מלאך השם צבאות הוא. Real Torah was in his mouth, and there was no avla, some kind of deceiving on his lips, because he's the angel of the holy God. Why? Because he sticks to the truth. So Rabotai, you should know one thing. Some rabbis, when they gave blessing to people, their blessing always came through. And some other, they also gave blessing and didn't come through. And they both know the lot of Torah, and this one is a speaker, this one is a great teacher, this one is a great teacher, this one is very powerful, this one is a posek, this one is a... Why the blessings of one always going to happen, and the other one most of the time not? The answer is, if someone makes sure no lies comes from his mouth, only Torah, positive, no lies, no deceiving, no chas v'shalom nibulei peh, holy mouth, then when something comes out of his mouth, Hashem put his stamp on it. Why? It's a pure mouth. But someone that a minute before he gave you the blessing, he was on the phone with someone cheating him with money, lying to him, or even when he gives shiur Torah, he's a liar, like some speakers, they are pure liars. The Torah say one thing and they teach the exact opposite for political gain. Politicians, not real rabbis, fake ones, like the one who was blessing Sleepy Joe yesterday. Saw him? The reform one with the red yarmulke. Oh, we love you, Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. You are Moshe and Kamala is Aaron. This kind of rabbis, clowns, like this. Shem Yerachem, what's going to be their end? Or the one that blessed the two gays that they get married. Put the talit on you, let me give you a bracha. Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Two men, it's the worst chilul Hashem in history, is giving them birkat kohanim. This kind of people, they give you a bracha, you better worry. When Lavan gave a bracha to Rivka, what happened to her? Lavan and Betuel, she was barren for many years. Why? Filthy mouth like this. If you get a blessing from a faker, this blessing can not only not help sometimes, can actually cause the exact opposite. Why? Because Hashem does not want that it would be looked to the eyes of the public that thanks to this crook, you got your blessing. I know very few people in the world that if you go to them for blessing, you're going to see miracles. But very, very few. Why? Because they never moved an inch from the truth, and they're not for show off or nothing like that. They give their life for Hashem with simple life, poverty, no political or financial gain, and they watch their eyes and they watch their mouth, and all their life is in the Torah. Of course, you get a blessing from someone like this. You are very, very lucky. But other people, we have to be very, very worried. Yes?
How do you know that it's a very tricky subject?
Yes, questions now. We're done, basically. Questions.
How do you know the gvul?
The gvul of what?
The guy could be a transgender, but the biggest appreciation and the guy could, I'm just saying, when do you do kiruv? For example, a guy give an aliyah to Chabad, and maybe now he's going to be turned on to religion. Then you're going to have someone say no, because the guy screwed you over, so he's not a real Jew. You're going to say he's really a guy.
Okay, the rule is, you don't bring down the Torah to the level of the sinners. You bring the sinners up to the level of the Torah. You do not compromise on the laws just because you want to do kiruv. For instance, you want to bring people to get a lecture about Shabbat. You don't invite them to the beach, boys and girls with guitar, with kumzits, that there will be lack of modesty, and they're going to touch each other and do all kinds of things just because you want to give them 10 minutes of a speech. That's not kiruv. That's chilul Hashem. You want to do kiruv, you have to do it with the guidelines of the Torah. You do not compromise on the truth of the Torah because you have good cause. You understand? You have to know, there's every question you have to ask.
What if the person, when do you give up, like Bernie Sanders had a picture of everybody on film. So you could say someone's terrible, but do you give up? And because you say maybe...
You don't give up on anyone. We have to do kiruv on everyone. If Nebuzaradan, the mass murderer, converted and became a Jew, or Rachav she became a Jew, she converted.
Transgender, you do cure for him?
Transgender, it's already a lost case because he cannot enter the shul, not to the male section, not to the female section. It's a big problem. No, it's a big problem. It's a big problem how you look at him in halacha.
You don't really know if he's a Jew or not. How we last year Lashon Hara about it? The guy who elected?
Everyone that is not Jewish, meaning is not a righteous goy, is an idol worshipper, like Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, technically allowed to speak Lashon Hara, but of the Avodah Zarah, and also Mechalelei Shabbat, the Chafetz Chaim, right? You're allowed to speak Lashon Hara about them, but it's not recommended. Why it's not recommended? It's not recommended because maybe tomorrow he will become Shomer Shabbat, and now the Lashon Hara will still travel. So that's one problem. Second reason is when you speak Lashon Hara about people that halachically you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara about them, you get used to it. Tomorrow you will begin to talk about kosher rabbis, Lashon Hara. One thing leads to another. So better not to talk bad about anyone, except for the purpose of warning. Sometimes you have to warn the public from a faker. He comes and he teach wrong Torah, and he allow people to make huge sins, because either he's Am Haaretz, or he's wicked, or whatever the case is, or he's an infidel, or he's kofer ב-13 עיקרים של התורה. Someone like that, you have to warn the public not to fall in his hands. Because if Chas v'Shalom they become his followers, they're going to end where he's going to end. So for the sake of warning, it's an obligation. It's not only allowed, it's an obligation. Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa. If you know he's about to connect with someone that is a big crook, he's going to clean him from all his money, you must warn him. I do it for toilet, stay away from this person. He already cleaned many people from everything they had. Be very careful. Or he's going to teach you to make sins. He allowed this and he allowed that. You have to, of course, obviously have proofs. So for that, it's an obligation. It's not, am I allowed to warn him? You must warn him. For instance, if a woman is about to marry a drug addict, she doesn't know, and you know, you don't have to be a genius to know how it's going to end, no? So you have to warn her. If you knew and you did not warn her and her life was messed up, then you're guilty of all her suffering. Why? It's lo ta'amod al dam re'echa. Someone is drowning in a lake, and you let them drown? How can it be? You let him die? Sometimes the suffering is more painful than to die. You know, and this or partner that is kosher is about to invest $1 million by the biggest crook in town because he doesn't know about him. You must warn him. You cannot say it's not my business. If they'll do it to your brother, would you ignore it? No, right? If somebody will do it to you, you want other people to know not to warn you, so you must warn them. If you're not sure if you're allowed or not, that's why you have to ask a chacham. Kvod Harav, that's the question. I know I get a lot of these questions. Can I say something? Better not to say? Depends. Sometimes there's a unique scenario. Sometimes, even if you're allowed to say, better not to say. Because, for instance, there's mitzvah not to say something that will not be heard. You already know it's too late, they're not going to listen. For sure. You know for sure they won't listen. Then why saying? Anyway, it won't help. You understand? They ask a big chacham a question like this. Someone who knows that a married woman cheated on her husband. The husband is not allowed to be with her. She's not permitted to her husband and not permitted to the one she cheated with. That's the halacha. But the husband doesn't know yet. If you go and tell him, he must divorce her. Are you allowed to go and tell him, or better not to say anything? So the answer is, depend. If you know for sure he's a man of the truth and he will do what the halacha say, you have to tell him. If you know there is a chance that he will not do it because he cannot leave her or whatever the case is, better not to say anything. Why? Because after you tell him, every time he's with her is a sin. Now he's anus, he doesn't know. But if you know he will follow halacha, you have to tell him. But sometimes these kind of questions have a machlokot between the poskim. Depend who you ask. You ask this Rav, he will tell you allowed. You may ask someone else, he'll tell you not allowed. Not everything is black and white.
That's the second question you said about Gogol Magog. It's your shita has really a lot of, it's to be big wars, a lot of fear. Or she thought that it already happened, or it's a different way.
I have only one Tanakh, and all the prophets in my Tanakh are strictly scary, very scary. Zechariah Yudaled, the Nevuot in Yecheskel, the Nevuot in Yeshaya, the Zohar. Everybody speaks about Gog Magog, horrible end to the world.
If it happened already?
No, Gog Magog didn't happen yet. 2/3 of the people in the world did not die yet. It never happened.
It's a spiritual
It's
war, not a physical war.
The description in the Navi is that 2/3 of the people will die and their eyes will melt, the pupils of their eyes will melt. And when people will try to help each other, their hands will come out of the kids. And there will be a disaster. And it will take years to bury their bodies. It sounds to you like a spiritual war. There is also a prophecy about a pandemic. זה המגפה אשר יגוף השם את האומות.
All these prophecies that are bad, they can be overturned.
Yes.
Good prophecies,
I always say it in my lectures. A bad prophecy does not have to happen. If most of the Jews in the world will do tshuva, most, it's already will cancel the bad prophecy. The problem is, if we won't do tshuva, then we will have to deal with the consequences. But if we'll do tshuva, Bezrat Hashem, all these bad prophecies will turn into sweet prophecies.
How can we be saved?
Huh?
How can we be saved?
The Gemara say, yeah, let's do Ma'ariv. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen v'amen.